Maayong hapon sa tanan, or shall I also say the Ateneo Harder Way, Magus afternoon, everyone. Once again, I am Janvarica Acop, and I am a teacher from Sacred Heart School Ateneo de Cebu. I teach social studies or contemporary issues. And I would like to thank everyone for joining me in this friendly conversation about our practices, our classroom practices from the past pandemic school year. I would also like to thank SALT for this opportunity to share this very small classroom strategy, but I think was a small win for me in the online setup. I always have this mindset that I am a lifelong learner, but let's add a little more mindset for with that in our session this afternoon. Let's be guided by this mindset of the community pantry mindset. Magbigay ayon sa kakayahan at kumuha batay sa iyong pangangailangan. You are free to beg, borrow, and steal what works for you. More than that, please do not be shy to share as well your own practices that our co-formators may learn from by using the chat box. In case I appear to be going too fast or too slow in this afternoon sharing, please do not hesitate also to use our Zoom reactions to give me non-verbal cues. If you're all set, guys, from your homes and devices, please do click the like or heart reaction so that we may get the ball rolling. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So, my sharing this afternoon is once again entitled Brainstorming Easy and Steady Ideation and Collaboration. I have this strong belief that my subject should actually be a safe space for my students to share their opinions and develop culture of openness and respect while we are living in a world which has a lot of very different ideas. And I think one of the best ways to promote this is by brainstorming. It's a very common method. I think we've all had a share of this in our own classroom. It's a very simple method of generating ideas on topics, no matter how big or small it may be. But the online setup where mics are muted and intermittent connectivity forces our students to turn off cameras has made simple tasks like brainstorming very difficult to achieve in day-to-day setting. As teachers are challenged to prioritize the essentials in the curriculum, our students also appear to settle by finishing or delivering what is only graded in each subject. As independent learning is streamlined in the online setup, working with peers on group tasks has also been a major struggle for our students. Considering this context, I wanted to use my class activities or performance tasks not only to measure learning competency, but also to establish positive online class norms. And so you might have this question today. How can I make the climb of remote brainstorming easy and steady for my students? I'll be giving to you some of my experiences on how I made it. It's not easy at all. It was not easy at all, but we do our best to at least make it easy for our students. So let me begin by saying that brainstorming is like setting our students to their own journey in finding their own answers. And it's very important then to provide them with their own map and compass. The map in our context was the authentic task, performance task with the elements of the grasps or the goal, the role, the audience, situation, the product, and the standards. These will set the expectations in the task and provide our students the directions that they must take. Let me share some details of our map, aka the performance task in our level. Since brainstorming is a means of generating ideas, our teachers, the teachers in our grade level, designed a task where students were asked to step up on the role of a non-government organization and come up with solutions to a chosen problem in our country by presenting a project proposal. So the product is a project proposal. But Though this is the product, it was actually further scaffolded into four smaller tasks where brainstorming was part of every stage. So brainstorming here, you can say that was embedded in each of of the step. This was because we wanted our students to realize that brainstorming is not just one step to produce an output, but it was actually a norm that our students can be comfortable with. Since they were working in groups, like 5 to 6 members, it was also necessary to provide them with specific roles that they could take while they were doing the brainstorming sessions. So, since this task was also scaffolded, there were different outputs expected of them based on the stage of the project proposal. But there were outputs which were required to submit in all of the stages. This was to show the brainstorming process that our students did for each stage. As you can see on the screen, this included recorded meetings, whiteboard sessions or whiteboard screenshots, and even their worksheets. And from here, it was for stage one, their problem statement. One of the things we also considered as a non negotiable in our brainstorming activity was the question that students must answer. From our experience, it was very helpful to provide students with a general question and also specific guide questions for each stage that our students could refer to in finding answers or ideas. We've also provided our students a context so that our student might could feel that he or she is really capable of giving ideas, that no one came to a session empty-handed. We've also provided students with a specific time limit in generating their ideas, even if they were doing it asynchronously. Furthermore, we must never forget how we grade our students. And so comes into the story the rubrics. As you can see, we've provided a criterion for brainstorming or ideation in this task so that students really know what grade do we give to the kind of effort that they exert in each brainstorming session. Let me clear it up that this was not the only basis for grading, but we've really integrated brainstorming into the rubrics to emphasize its importance. Other than that, students were also given a chance to grade their peers through a peer evaluation. This was to emphasize that this was not just about the output, but more of the process. The next answer that I can share to you about the question erased a while ago would now refer to the logistics to provide your students with the necessary equipment, especially for safety, the ones for safety. Since our school is using MS Teams as our learning management system, we have maximized its feature to create private channels for our groups, which served as their official communication portal. They used these private channels synchronously or asynchronously. It also provided the students a safe and private space to collaborate. In their task, we also reminded them to be guided with cura personalis and mages in making their outputs. Now you can see also on the screen that in our private channels, we've provided them different documents that this will serve as their safety net. One of which would be the downloadable copy of the guidelines of the performance task from stage 1 to stage 4. We've also set up different whiteboards for each brainstorming session and a post to reiterate the target for each day or each subject period. Since students were free to manage their subject period within the target dates, an attendance sheet was also provided for the groups to update whether they have group meetings. This was then the task of their secretary. Now let's try to look at how the groups were able to manage brainstorming sessions. Some groups, true enough, did it asynchronously. There were different members posting what are their expected tasks in a period. Please do take note that we have a 50-minute period, and there are usually, and I would give them, let's say, the target question for the day. And so it would depend upon them if they're going to generate ideas synchronously or asynchronously. And here you have here one group who posted the question, and they are just to interact by giving their replies. Other groups would prefer to do it synchronously, wherein they would really gather and talk about the question and raise their answers. Anyways, all of the platforms to give answers were already provided. And the beauty about the online setup is as long as the students participate, it is actually recorded. As teachers, we also provided our students worksheets. It does not just end in brainstorming, since they are supposed to build up on each other's ideas. And that was the purpose of these worksheets. It provided the students steps, which idea or how are they going to process their ideas to come up with, let's say, a proposal, or steps on how to make their proposals work. Other than which, we've also provided our students protected time to make their task. Time management has been one of the major struggles of our students in the online setup. So as teachers, we cannot just give tasks and expect them to make it on their own time. In fact, in our experience, we have really included in our calendar these specific periods which are purely allocated for making their brainstorming or their performance tasks. And this was not just like from session 1 to session 4, you're all going to make your performance task, but for each session, there was a target of what specific stage of the performance task should they finish. And in this way, they are guided on what things they should be doing for each period. Lastly is to journey with your students. Let them feel that the teacher is actually present. And how do we do so? It's by providing feedback. In our experience, we've provided an orientation on how this performance task works and its respective stages. And after which the students are already expected to work on the tasks according to the calendar. But it did not mean that I will only show up at the end already or at the deadline of our performance task. Instead, I tried my best to make my students feel that I was with them in the whole journey of making this performance task by providing them feedback. I've tried joining in their meeting sessions, as well as providing comments on their worksheets. I've also provided them consultation periods wherein they can just join the meeting and then they can just ask the question, and after which they can go back to their group. I've also tried commenting or joining in the conversations in the private channels. So here we can mend small mistakes and also guide our students in how are they going to make their meaning with their own groups. It's like their ideas are very raw, but with the help of their group mates and also with the structure provided by the task, students can see how their ideas develop, or it's like it's evolving into something that they can actually use in real life setup. As a teacher providing feedback to them in this journey, I was thinking that this is my way of assuring my students that whatever happens in this performance task, you are just a step behind as a teacher, and you are very ready to support them in any way that you could. So these were some of the brainstorming sessions done by my students. As what you can see, there are different sticky notes, and you can really imagine this one in a physical setup. But online, there are also different tools that they can use. Each student was given a specific color of a sticky note, and they give ideas according to the question. After which they process or they classify these ideas, they came up with mind maps, others with different kinds of diagrams, just so they can make meaning on what will they be placing in their respective worksheets. And I'm very happy to say that it was from these brainstorming sessions of the students that they were able to come up with very, very good project proposals, which were really focused in solving problems existing in our community. And here, I wanted really my students to be able to appreciate themselves for doing so. And let me end then my presentation by sharing to you some of these takeaways. This is my general takeaway that our classroom activities like brainstorming is more than just gathering grades or learning competency. And in the context of this afternoon's sharing, it's more than just generating ideas. But brainstorming in my classes were there to accept, to teach acceptance and respect for individual differences, to encourage our learners to take risks in sharing their ideas and opinions, to demonstrate also to our students that their knowledge and ideas are valued and accepted, and lastly, to provide them an opportunity to share their ideas and expand knowledge by building on each other's thoughts. And so let me end also, this afternoon by saying that our path as teachers are really filled with uncertainties. But let us continue finding God in all things that we do to accompany the youth for a hope filled future. Always magis, always lux oriens, always ad majorem Dei gloriam. Daghang salamat.